I'm Alice Evan, and I live for adventure. On the road less travelled is where I want to be. Some of the most remote places left on Earth are only accessible by sea, so I need to learn how to sail. And I need a boat. Like the explorers of the past, I'll leave my home and journey across the water.
See you later, New Zealand!
And out there, in all that blue, as captain of my own ship, I'll be tested like never before. My course is set for the far-flung islands of the South Pacific, to discover the isolated people, raw beauty, and the secrets of those forgotten shores. Let the voyage begin.
Made my way to Tauranga in Kiribati. I'm here for a short stop to provision Rory Moore before heading north to the Marshall Islands, a place seldom visited. I'm just going to keep all the fuel cans I can topped up to the very last drop, just in case. The kids are insisting on helping me. These places might seem like paradise, but that hasn't always been the case. On the 20th of November 1943 was one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific Theatre in World War II, the Battle of Tauranga. This island was transformed into a heavily fortified Japanese stronghold. It was so well armed that Admiral Shibasaki supposedly boasted to his troops that it would take 1 million Americans 100 years to take Tauranga. The US didn't have 1 million men, but they did have the largest American fleet yet assembled. The timing for the US attack couldn't have been worse. On that particular day was a very low tide, and the US Marines had many of their vehicles stuck out here on the reef. Marines were sitting ducks out here, and they faced a wall of fire from the beach from Japanese artillery and machine guns. And even today, the remnants of war are still stuck in the sand out here. The horrors of World War II found their way out here. White sandy beaches and palm trees. There's war relics all around here, and the village has kind of grown around them. So there's a bunker behind me, there's actually a house that's actually built right up against it. This is another bunker here, and all the kids are now playing on these old war relics. Wow! This boy just came up to me with a little tin of bullets. These are bullets from World War II. Did you find them on the beach?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
It's hard to believe, standing here as the sun's setting, the horrors that went on here. The war in the Pacific went on all the way to Japan, and it was eventually ended by a formidable new weapon, the atomic bomb.
126,000 died.
The bombs, nicknamed Little Boy and Fat Man, were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing upwards of 250,000 people.
The Japanese surrendered. We were now entering the atomic age, where weapons were capable of destroying whole cities in a single blast. And this still experimental technology sent world powers into a frenzy to master it at all costs. Nations like French Polynesia, Kiribati and the Marshall Islands became testing sites of Western powers. It was all in order to make the most powerful weapons in the world.
A dress rehearsal of a possible future.
And out here, in the middle of the Pacific, hidden away from the rest of the world, it was absolute madness. I've set a course north for the Marshall Islands. I want to go and learn about the legacy that remains after the detonation of 67 nuclear weapons and the indigenous people who were forced to leave their homes. Even today, some of these islands are still radioactive. I want to go and explore them. It'll be a 4-day sail to Majuro.
In 1946, 167 Bikini Islanders were asked to temporarily move from their homes for a project they were told would benefit mankind. The chief agreed, not knowing that the US government had planned to relocate them either way. The Bikinians were moved to the Rongerik Atoll, but this string of islands did not have enough natural resources to sustain them. They were then relocated to Kwajalein Atoll before finally being settled on the island of Kili, around 400 nautical miles from Bikini, their home. Today, the Bikinians are spread all over the Marshall Islands, and after 70 years, are still unable to go back to their home.
I'm on my way to Bikini Atoll Town Hall, and I'm hoping to meet with the Mayor of Bikini. The only thing is, the Mayor of Bikini and the Town Hall is based here in Majuro,
Around 430 nautical miles from Bikini.
Is it strange to be Mayor of an island you are not living on, and you can't even live on?
I would say it's strange, but I'm used to it. We're all scattered all over the world.
What do you think the chances are that you'll get to go back in your lifetime?
We don't lose hope. In our culture, person without a land is nothing.
The United States government now wants to attempt to turn this great destructive force into something good for mankind.
No, we will make sure you will come back to your homeland after that. And we will make sure we take care of you for the rest of your life. It's been 70 years. Right now, there's no future for us. Yes, we have compensated from the U.S. government, but it's not enough. Clean our land or give us a better plan. At least hear us.
I've met up with Peterson, and he's going to take me to the small islet where many of the ex-Bikinians still live today. Not too far away from Majuro, and I really want to meet some of the descendants of Bikini Atoll. For the past 70 years, these Bikinian people have been bounced around from island to island, and some of them have found their way to the islet of Egypt here. And you've got all of these people living on this tiny little island where there's very few natural resources. Whereas on the atoll of Bikini, there would have been plenty of natural resources to live on.
This is the main road. This is it.
Do people struggle to survive here just purely to get enough food?
Small island, man. Look around. There's nothing here. You can't farm here. I'm a man without a land. The U.S. government took my island. This land doesn't belong to me. Our elders, they didn't really understand what nuclear was. They didn't really understand what radiation was. We cannot pass on nothing to our children, our great-grandchildren.
Walking around the islet of Egypt, I see all of these children here, all of which are descendants from Bikini. The majority of the Bikini descendants have never been to the atoll of Bikini. And there's only around 12 people left alive from those original people that moved off Bikini all those years ago.
Jabukon, Haida, she's one of them. She's having medical issues, and I don't think she will be able to go back and see Bikini before she dies.
How are you? I understand that you were living on Bikini Island many years ago when you were very young.
Never forget. Never forget. Homeland.
Can you describe your home to me? What the island was like before the nuclear testing went on there?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun during those days. She had many boyfriends.
When they were testing the nuclear weapons, did you witness any of that?
They could see different colors in the sky. They could hear booming. They were scared. After the testing, a lot of the Marshallese people have healthy shoes. We were once very healthy people. I don't think we will be able to go back to Bikini. Not me, not my grandchildren, not my family. I wish to go back to Bikini and die at Bikini Atoll. And I want to go there and I want to die there. I want to bury there. It's the only wish I have.
So still after all of these years, you feel like Bikini is still your home?
Yes. İcaber malay İcaber eyleman Yon dünyam bide En eylem yâime Evan koyi Eberemela ağıyıgıla migirelel O divan bagadıca aman Allah vipah
People of Bikini removed from their homeland, the atoll was now in the hands of the US to do with what they wanted. They began conducting nuclear tests, the first of which was codenamed Operation Crossroads. 2 atomic bombs were to be detonated on the target site of Bikini. They each would have the equivalent destructive power of the bomb dropped on Nagasaki. The aim of these tests was to not only show the world, especially the Soviets, that the US was in control of this new immense power, but they were also done to see the effects of a nuclear weapon on warships. Over 90 of them, some of them legendary ships from World War II, including the USS Saratoga and Imperial Japan's flagship destroyer, the Nagato, a trophy captured by the US at the end of the Second World War. These were aging ships anchored in Bikini Atoll. At that time, they made up what would be the 6th largest fleet in the world. Many of those wrecks are still sitting in the bottom of the lagoon today. Edward, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Okay.
I've teamed up with Edward, who's a Bikinian, and he's also a dive master and an ultimate expert on the wrecks of Bikini. We're going to sail back to his homeland and we're going to explore some of the darker history of these islands. I'm really stoked to get a chance to dive some of these wrecks of Bikini Atoll, and to go and dive these wrecks with an expert such as Edward is just such an amazing opportunity. The closer we get to Bikini, I can see Ed getting more and more excited. Even though he didn't grow up here, to him, in his heart, this is still his home. Ed's been diving these wrecks for over half of his life. And even though he can't come back and live on the island of Bikini, because of his job, he's one of the few that can come back here on a regular basis. Almost seems like a ghost town walking through here. So what I'm struggling to understand is it's safe for us to be here. Why is it not safe for the Bikinians to come back?
They need to eat from the plant, from the coconut, breadfruit, and the soil is still contaminated.
While this place might seem like a paradise, there's a hidden danger here. Radioactive isotope, cesium-137, left over from the atomic testing. That cesium-137 is very similar to potassium, and so it's drawn up by the roots and concentrated into the plants. There's real concern that consumption of any produce grown on the soil here in Bikini can cause long-term health issues. Bikini is a place of contrast. It's a poison paradise. The atoll symbolises the dawning of the nuclear age. Bikini has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is our heritage. It means a lot for Ed to come back to Bikini. And he's brought me here to the cemetery where many of his relations are buried. He showed me the grave of his great-grandfather and many more of his relatives, which go back for many generations. Ed's grandfather was one of the original 167 Bikinians that had to leave the island due to the nuclear testing. And when his grandfather was close to dying, Ed made him a promise.
When he was still alive, he told me, if I die, take me to Bikini, it's my homeland, I make a promise. And after that, we trying to bring here, and it's kind of difficult because it's the off limit or something to bring people, we can take people, so we never come here and rest. So we very mature. It's not this land. Feel bad.
So the Bikinians are not able to come back here when they're living because it's radioactive. But even in death, they're still not able to come back here to their homeland. The Bikinians believe that land is a gift from God to be passed down from generation to generation. And the land that the people own here, which they're not able to live on, it's still within their hearts. Here, the land that you're born on it's a part of you, forever. This was your grandfather's, your family's land. Is it still home for you?
Yeah, this is like part of my body.
Ed first came back to his homeland of Bikini over 25 years ago, and he came back to conduct tests on the wrecks to see if they'd be safe from radiation. These wrecks are just out there in the lagoon, and Ed's going to take me there. While these wrecks are no longer significantly radioactive, they're still dangerous because of their depth. In diving, you're always limited by the relationship between depth and time. If I surface too quickly, I'll get decompression sickness. Bubbles will fizz up in my body. And at worst, that can cause paralysis or it can kill me. So we have to be really careful. This is not a leisurely swim in Bikini. This is a mission. The Nagato was a formidable warship of the Imperial Japanese Navy. She was considered the most powerful ship of her time and the first battleship in the world to mount 16-inch guns on her decks.
You had an array of armament on board, 8 16-inch guns, 25.5-inch guns, aircraft guns. This vessel was built for war.
The Nagato weighed over 42,000 tons fully loaded and was over 700 feet in length.
Wow, look at the size of these propellers. That is huge. And this is only one of them. The amount of water that they would have displaced with each turn, and it drove it forward fast. 27 knots this ship could do. Just incredible. The Nagato is known to be top heavy, and part of it was because of the size of the bridge, but also because she had a huge layer of armour plating all the way around her. And then of course when she sunk beneath the surface, she tipped upside down and crashed into the sea floor. Coming through the bows of the ship, and I can imagine the men that once lived and worked on board. Down here, I feel transported back in time to a time of madness, really. Second World War, dawn of the nuclear age, all here at the bottom of Bikini. With the ship being upside down, nothing makes sense. And the biggest thing you've got to do down here is stay calm and stay focused.
The Nagato was the flagship of Admiral Yamamoto during the attack on Pearl Harbor.
This is where Admiral Yamamoto would have once stood on this very bridge in command of the whole Japanese fleet. The order to climb Mount Nataka, which meant to start the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, was drafted on this very ship. It's amazing how history played out. The Nagato, which was a symbol of the start of the war with the US, was ultimately destroyed by the US under the atomic bomb. This is what I live for. This is what I love. Exploring places that so few people ever get to, and seeing parts of our human history that are just hidden from view.
I've gone off on my own today to explore the rest of the atoll. On many of these islands around the outskirts of the atoll, there's still infrastructure left over from the tests. On this island just in front of me, there's a huge bunker that's still there. So I'm going to go explore it. This is eerie here. This is one large room in the top of the bunker. It seems to be sealed off from all of the other rooms below. The whole place is just falling apart. From the ceiling, there's like these little stalactites, just like in a cave, and then below, there's stalagmites. So you can see how long this bunker's been here. Long enough for these guys to form. All around Bikini Atoll, they had bunkers like this set up with remote cameras facing straight out into the lagoon. They had over 700 cameras and personnel to operate all the camera gear. The idea was to capture this from as many different angles as possible. And those images were then broadcast all around the world. This wasn't just a test, this was a show to the whole world.
A fresh warning to the world of the terrible destruction inherent in the horrible new weapon.
Today I get to dive the USS Saratoga. It's an aircraft carrier and she's seen a lot of battles before she ended up here. A hero ship in her own right. And her last mission was here in Bikini Atoll. I've got Ed, he's going to be guiding me through the wreck. He knows it like the back of his hand. Sarah's like an old girlfriend for you.
I always dive on her around 25 years. I know her. All right, the place won't be a nice day for diving. So we go to Sarah.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Coming down on the shipwreck, it's like seeing a ghost from the past. This is the USS Saratoga. She's a big ship, really big, 270 metres in length. That's almost 900 feet.
The Saratoga is one of the more famous ships of World War II here in Bikini. It's also one of the US Navy's first aircraft carriers. Having a ship that could carry an air force closer to battle became an important strategy in the war effort.
Most of the wood is gone now, but what you can see is the metal rivets that used to hold that timber deck down.
The Saratoga was in many famous battles of World War II, Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima, to name but a few. As part of the first nuclear experiments, there were animals left on board in cages. Sheep, goats, rats and mice, to see what would happen to them after the nuclear explosion.
It just adds to the heavy feeling that I have swimming along the flight deck, knowing all of this took place right here. This is one of the anti-aircraft guns that were mounted on the deck. These guns are now quiet, but you can imagine the days that they weren't.
Kamikaze pilots were hell-bent on crashing their aircraft into the flight deck. It just would have been chaos.
Off the edge of the wreck now and starting my descent to the sand. It's pretty deep. It'll be 165 feet to the bottom. I'm looking for something that I know is out here in the darkness. Heading down to the darkness, looking for something that I know is out here in the sand. Whoa, look at that. There's one of the Helldiver aeroplanes that I've heard about. There's another one just a little bit further on as well. Both of these planes were chained to the deck at the time of the atomic explosion.
When the bomb went off, a 29-metre tsunami, almost 100 feet, crashed over the Saratoga, snapping the chains of the Helldivers and flinging them into the ocean like toys.
Not easy to get down here to see these planes, but what an experience. I've got to watch though, we're racking up a lot of decompression. Alright, we're going to head up a bit shallower to the flight deck now. When the atom bomb went off underwater, all fish life in Bikini Atoll was decimated. But now, after 70 years on the bottom, there's fish everywhere, and it's great to see. There are all sorts of hazards, cables, jagged bits of steel. You've got to be very careful you don't get hung up in anything. This is the bridge here. This is where the vessel would have been steered from. You can see the compass here, and the gauge is up near the ceiling. Alright, that's all the time that we can spend down here.
The Saratoga is closing in on 100 years old now. She's quickly deteriorating, and in another 100 years there won't be much left. I feel so lucky to get the chance to see her while I can.
Just going down and seeing the ship from the outside has just whet my appetite to go and explore inside. What's some of the hazards that we might encounter when we're inside the wreck?
Some of the metal, the hanging, and we know we're going one way in and we're going one way out. We had a line, so if something happens, follow the line out.
This is going to be a mission. Get down, get inside, and then get back out again safely.
It's taking me down the bomb elevator. This elevator would have been used to bring bombs up onto the flight deck to be loaded into the plane. Apparently, we can access deep inside the shipwreck from here. We're coming into one of the many galleys on the ship. You can still see the plates and cups here that the men used. And these galleys had to cook for all of them.
She weighed in around 47,000 tonnes fully loaded. She could carry around 80 to 90 planes and had a crew of around 3,400.
We're just dropping down the main elevator shaft now into the ship. For the number of times Ed and other divers have been down here, have laid lines deep inside the shipwreck, so we can always find our way out. This ship really is starting to fall apart. Another 70 years from now, there wouldn't be much left to explore. Oh my God, wow, look at this. This is the last thing I expected to see down here. This is the dentist room. You can still see the chairs. You can see the basin. This, for me, is going to be one of the most scary places on this ship. And I'm not quite sure if it's because I don't like going to the dentist or because this ship is falling apart around me. Well, it's getting a bit grim down here. There's silt everywhere, and you're just instantly blinded by it. I've just got to keep reminding myself to stay calm and keep following the line out. Oh, it's not fun though. There's silt everywhere. It's reducing visibility down to almost nothing. Alright. This is going to take me back up onto the next level. It's definitely clear up here. Feels good to be back up here. We're heading down the forward elevator shaft now. There's a lot of hidden dangers down here. There's sections of the wreck that have collapsed in on themselves.
The nuclear tests were to see what effect an atomic blast would have on a fully laden vessel. As part of the nuclear tests, she was laden with live ordnance, from munitions to torpedoes, bombs, and depth charges. This was part of the greater test of this new weaponry that would come to change the world forever.
I've got to admit, it makes me a little bit nervous swimming around in this room, knowing there's a whole bunch of live bombs here. Ed, what are you doing, man? Oh, Ed tells me every time he comes down to the wreck, he likes to just touch it with his bare hands. That's why he only wears one glove. But I didn't realise he was going to touch one of the bombs. This ship is just mesmerising. Every which way you turn, there's just something incredible to see.
Well, Ed's leaving me today. He's heading back to Majuro. In 1946, it was 167 residents on Bikini, and now there's only 7. You're looking at all of them on board this boat right now. They're the caretakers of Bikini, part of a rotating team that monitors the radiation levels here on the atoll. They've all come on the boat as well to say goodbye to Ed, but also to pick up any supplies that might be flowing in. Here we are in New Island, aka Bikini International Airport. All right, Ed, take care. Take care, Ed. Thanks for everything. Leaving Bikini and heading west to Inuitak. It's about 170 nautical miles away. Inuitak is a very similar story to Bikini, where the islanders were moved off and the atoll was used for nuclear testing. I've hitched a ride with the local police officer. It's a good excuse to look around the island. In comparison to Bikini Atoll, Inuitak has had an extensive clean-up, and this has allowed the people to move back. While the people of Inuitak have been able to move back, there's only 3 of the islands that can be inhabited, out of 40 in the atoll. Life isn't the same. This is Enoch, and Enoch was one of the original islanders that lived here before everyone was relocated before the nuclear testing. And he was just 10 years old. Enoch, did you see any of the explosions?
Yeah, I felt pain.
So why did you come back? Why did you decide to stay here?
This is his own atoll and he feels safe. I guess he believes in home sweet home.
By 1952, the Cold War between the US and the Soviets had escalated. The Soviets had detonated their own atomic bomb, and so the US responded by developing a much more powerful weapon, the hydrogen bomb. The hydrogen bomb was first tested here on the atoll of Inuitak on November 1st, 1952. The bomb was detonated across the atoll on the island of Ugalat. That island doesn't exist anymore. The yield of the bomb was estimated at 10.4 megatons, more than 750 times the power of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
So the bomb was really strong because they were really far, but then they can see all the big bright light, smokes.
How long were you away from your homeland for?
1944, they moved them to Ujala. So 20 plus years. When they first moved back here, there was no plant, so they have to regrow everything. So it's really hard, and now it's still hard because some of the fruit they cannot grow on this island.
Why is it harder now to grow things on the island?
During the cleanup, they took the original soil, and now here is really kind of dry, and it cannot grow.
So they took all of the soil, the topsoil off that was contaminated. Whereabouts did they put it?
And the one in Brunei, when they clean up this place.
I would like to go and see that. Is it possible to go over to the island of Ruda?
You can go check out what's in Brunei. See if he's not sure.
Following the nuclear testing, 3 of the 40 islands were cleaned up. The topsoil was stripped off and transported over to the island of Runit and encased in a dome. I have to see it for myself. Some locals have met up and agreed to take me to Runit Island. They're not going to set foot on the island. They're going to anchor out off the coast and let me explore by myself. Runit is radioactive, but I know that I'll be safe so long as I just stay for a short time. This is Runit Island, home of the Runit Dome, which is a nuclear waste dumping site. This concrete is 18 inches thick, and it's sealing off some of the most hazardous material known to mankind. You don't realise how big it is until you walk up here. What's inside this dome is a lot of nuclear waste. It's the topsoil off the islands that they cleaned. There were chunks of plutonium, and any of these that were found were gathered up and put inside this tomb as well. Cesium-137 has a half-life of about 30 years, which means every 30 years it gets 50% weaker. But plutonium-239 has a half-life of 24,000 years. So this place is going to be radioactive for thousands and thousands of years to come. From the top of the dome, 100 metres away, there's another crater from yet another detonation. You can see the whole reef is just blown out in a perfect circle. This concrete dome is just like a Band-Aid. It's already cracking, and with the sea levels rising and the erosion along the coast, it's only a matter of time before this starts leaching out. When these bombs were detonated, the radioactive fallout didn't neatly land on just the islands. They landed everywhere, in the open ocean out here, and a lot inside the lagoon. There's no way to clean it up. This is a legacy that's left over after the nuclear testing here in the Marshall Islands. It's just this massive scar on the landscape, on the world, that our future generations have to live with and deal with. None more so than the Marshallese people. I've been here long enough. It's time to get going. Bikini Atoll has drawn me back. I've only got a few more days in the Marshall Islands and I wanted to come back here. It saddens me to think that after 70 years, the people of Bikini have still not been able to come back to their home. I'm out here in the Pacific, sailing to these remote destinations, and ultimately it was the remoteness of this island that ended up being its downfall. It was far enough away from the rest of the world to be expendable. In Marshallese, Bikini translates roughly to the land of many coconuts, and it really sums up what this place used to be. This place is one of the most beautiful islands I've set foot on. It's hard to believe that once this was a radioactive wasteland. I look around at this beautiful atoll deep in the Pacific, and the question haunts me. What will become of Bikini? Only the future will tell.